Welcome back to the deep dive. Today, we are strapping into a small plane and heading into the vast, unforgiving Canadian wilderness with a 13-year-old boy named Brian Robeson. We're not just looking at a survival story here. We are charting the total brutal transformation of a modern teenager into what the source material repeatedly calls the new Brian.
Right.
This is a deep dive into self-sufficiency forged by disaster.
That's right. And our sources are incredibly detailed. I mean, we get almost a minute-by-minute account of this whole unplanned journey.
Yeah.
We're going way beyond just, surviving a crash. We're looking at the internal mechanics of how you cope with this intense emotional pain while at the same time you're facing these huge external threats.
Right. Existential threats.
Exactly. Our mission here is to really analyze how a kid who just flying up to visit his dad in the oil fields was forced to reforge his entire identity over, 54 grueling days?
Okay, let's unpack this starting with the setup. So Brian is flying alone in this small, high-winged Cessna 406 bush plane, and the sound, the drone of the single engine is just this constant suffocating thing. The book describes it as a thrumming roar.
Loud enough that you can't even talk.
Impossible. And they're up at 6,000 feet, leveled off, and Brian's just staring out at this ocean of trees that goes on forever. He has no idea that ocean is about to just swallow him whole.
But the physical isolation, at first that's actually secondary to the emotional weight he's carrying in that passenger seat. The second his mind gets quiet, it just starts cycling through one word: divorce.
Yeah.
And it's not just a legal term for him. It's described as this ugly, breaking word. It's the fights, the yelling, the shattering of all the solid things in his life.
And tied right into that, divorce is the secret. It's always capitalized in his mind.
Always.
Because it's the core truth he knows about his mother, the one single thing that he thinks caused the whole split.
And he feels this hot, white hate for her. It's fueled by this feeling that the adults, the lawyers, the judges, with their comfortable smiles, they just didn't get it. They didn't know what had really happened.
Right. They're deciding his entire future based on, legal jargon, not the searing reality he saw. That sense of injustice is, it's almost as dangerous to him as not having food.
It really is. It creates this huge internal pressure cooker. He's trapped in this tiny plane, can't speak, carrying this burden that's just way too heavy for a 13-year-old.
And the one physical thing he has, the hatchet,
is directly tied to that broken relationship.
Exactly. His mother gave it to him as a parting gift. Steel handle, rubber grip, brass rivets. It's a decent tool.
But to him, it's hokey.
Yeah.
It's a guilt offering. He only took it to, humor her. He hated the idea of wearing it in the city where he met the plane.
It's the ultimate paradox, isn't it? The tool he saw as this embarrassment, this symbol of his parents' failure, is about to become the single most important extension of his will to live.
He even almost forgot to take it off before the flight because there was no security at that tiny airport.
But now, boom, all that symbolic baggage is just wiped away by stark reality. The crisis arrives with almost no warning.
It starts so insidiously. The pilot, who had just been showing Brian how to fly the plane for a second, he starts rubbing his left shoulder, then his left arm, and Brian, he misinterprets it. He smells this sudden body gas and assumes the guy just has, stomach problems.
But the progression is shockingly fast. It goes from this mild discomfort to total system failure in moments.
The pilot tries to reach for the radio and he's hissing, "Bad eggs here, bad eggs. Thought it was something I ate, but..." And then this jolt hits him like a hammer blow.
Yeah.
He screams, "Chest! Oh, God, my chest is coming apart."
And Brian knows what it is. He'd seen a heart attack before, but this is terrifyingly real.
The pilot slams back into his seat again. His right leg jerks and hits the rudder pedal, which pulls the plane sharp sideways.
Oh.
His head falls forward, spit comes out, his muscles just contract, and then his eyes roll back until there's just only white.
The whole horrific sequence.
Yeah.
And then silence.
Just silence. And the world tilts. The roaring engine, which was so oppressive, suddenly contains this strange feeling of silence and being alone.
The plane is flying itself, but Brian's mind just stops. The book calls it a white flash of horror, a terror so intense that his breathing, his thinking, and nearly his heart had stopped.
Total paralysis. And that could have been it right there. He tries to will the pilot awake, but his head just rolls on a neck that's, impossibly loose.
He has to face it. The pilot's dead or gone. He forces himself to touch his chest. No heartbeat, no breathing. CPR is impossible.
He's alone. Completely.
And survival immediately demands action that his paralyzed mind is struggling with. He sees the plane is in this slight, continuous descent. It's going to fly them right into the trees.
So he has to fly it. But he knows nothing. He puts his hands on the wheel and just starts learning by this incredibly dangerous trial and error.
He pulls back, and the plane just swoops up way too fast, nose too high, stomach drops.
Then he pushes in too far, and it goes into this terrifying, shallow dive. It's just a series of these uncontrolled swoops. The air is howling. Brian's screaming.
Until he finally gently pulls back and gets the nose level, aimed at the horizon. That whole period of learning is like a microcosm for the whole story, isn't it?
It is. Failure, immediate consequence, and then you have to adjust.
So once he's stable, his desperation just focuses on the radio, this little box stamped Transmitter 221.
And he struggles to get the headset off the dead pilot, bumps the wheel again, sends the plane swooping. It's just chaos.
Once he finally gets the mic to his mouth, pure panic takes over.
He's just screaming into it, "Help! Somebody help me!" Sobbing, slamming his hands on the wheel. He's sending out noise, but he's not getting anything back.
And then this little piece of knowledge cuts through the terror. He remembers using a CB radio.
You have to turn the mic switch off to hear.
Right, and that simple detail, remembered in that moment of pure terror, it almost saves him.
He lets go of the switch, and just faintly through the static, he hears a voice asking for his location.
He screams his problem pilot's dead, he can't fly, but he's talking too long, not ending the transmission right.
And the voice asks again for a flight number, his location. Things he just doesn't know.
The last thing he manages to get out is, "That's right, I can't fly. The plane is flying now, but I don't know how much longer."
And then just static. That's it. The connection to the world is gone.
He tries again and again, 17 times every 10 minutes, just static and the roar of the engine and that realization that his calls are just disappearing into this vast wilderness. It's crushing.
And that's when the next brutal reality sets in. The fuel. The clock is ticking.
He's not flying the plane. The plane is flying him. He's a prisoner, hurtling at 160 miles an hour towards somewhere.
Until the engine stocks. And his choices are both horrifying. Pull the throttle now and pick your crash site.
Or wait for the fuel to run out, which could happen over the worst possible spot.
He chooses to wait. But he uses that time between the radio calls to mentally rehearse the crash protocol.
And this is one of the first signs of the new Brian starting to organize the chaos. He remembers the steps.
Right. Without the propeller, you have to push the nose down to maintain speed, a controlled glide.
Then find a clearing, which he immediately realizes there aren't any. Just swamps.
So the decision is made for him. It has to be a lake, on the edge of a lake.
And the final move is the flare, pulling the nose up right before impact to slow down and lessen the force of the collision.
He just runs that sequence over and over in his head. Glide down, final lake, flare, hit. The mantra is just easy say, hard do, beating with the rhythm of the engine.
Then it happens, the engine coughs, roars, and then dies. Sudden silence.
And he pushes the nose down to glide, and in that same instant, he throws up. The fear is completely physical now.
He sees nothing but green death trees.
Yeah.
Then, off to the right, an L-shaped lake.
He pushes the rudder to adjust. But that small turn costs him precious speed. The plane starts to wallow in the air, almost stalling.
Everything speeds up. The trees are no longer a blur, they're individual. He knows he's going to hit.
But he gets this 1 microsecond of luck. He falls into an open lane, a channel of fallen trees leading right to the water.
He pulls back on the wheel, doing the flare, bracing himself.
And the impact is just brutal. A huge wrenching sound as the wings hit the pines and just rip back. Dust and dirt everywhere.
He smashes his head on the control wheel, then the sound of tearing metal as the plane tumbles out over the water.
When it hits the lake, the water feels as hard as concrete. Windshield shatters, windows are gone, and he's driven back into his seat.
He realizes the screaming he hears is his own. Tight animal screams of fear and pain.
But his survival instinct just completely takes over. He claws at the seatbelt, tearing his nails until it lets go.
He pulls himself out the front window, but his lungs are burning. He sucks in a huge gulp of water, thinks this is it.
And then his head breaks the surface. He vomits and just swims blindly until his hands catch grass on the shore. And then everything stops.
So now we're past the crash and into the recovery. Brian wakes up. He's battered, head swollen, legs aching. And the first thing that floods his mind, along with the pain, isn't the crash.
No. It's the memory of the secret.
Yeah, that psychological wound just reopens instantly. The memory is like a knife cutting into him.
He sees it all again. riding his bike with his friend Terry, passing the mall, the bank clock flashing 3.31, temperature 82.
He sees his mother in that station wagon with the blonde man. And he sees the kiss. Not a friendly peck, but a real kiss.
It's amazing, isn't it, that even after all that physical trauma, the mind goes right back to the unresolved emotional pain.
It's just as real, just as potent. He carries that picture with him.
And then the physical reality of the environment just overwhelms him. The sun comes up, it gets hot, and then the insects.
Clouds of insects, swarming hordes of mosquitoes. This is where the movie version of survival just collides with reality.
It is. The misery is so immediate. The mosquitoes and black flies are so vicious. His eyes are swollen shut. His face is puny and round.
And he's so frustrated. He's thinking, I've watched all these nature shows, and they never once mention the bugs.
They just show beautiful scenery or animals jumping around, having a good time.
Right. But he learns a quick lesson. The insects only like the gray time, before the sun is fully up. When the direct sunlight hits, they disappear.
And that little window of peace is what allows him to start shifting his mindset from being a victim to being a survivor.
This is where that city knowledge gets weaponized. He remembers his English teacher, Mr. Perpich.
Perpich is two big messages.
Right. First, stay positive and stay on top of things. Practical advice.
And the second, which is so much more profound here, is you are your most valuable asset. Don't forget that.
So he takes inventory. What does he have?
And it is a pitiful list. 97 cents, a fingernail clipper.
So useless.
Totally. A $20 bill in case you get stranded at the airport.
Oh, the irony.
His torn clothes, a broken watch, and the one crucial, indispensable tool. The hatchet. That's it. That's his whole world.
His first real success, then, is finding shelter. He finds a rocky ridge and discovers this sideways bowl under a ledge snooped out by a glacier.
It's perfect. Watertight, cool sand floor. It's the first bit of real good luck. But it's luck he only found because he was looking.
But the hunger is it's unbearable. He's not thinking of survival food. He's thinking of Thanksgiving turkey, burgers.
So he uses his observation skills again. He follows these reddish-orange birds to a cluster of bushes.
And they're filled with bright red berries. He just gorges on them, strips the branches, swallows them pits and all, just to fill that emptiness.
The taste is tart, not sweet, but they fill him up for a little while.
And the consequence is immediate and devastating. That night, he is so sick.
He calls them gut cherries in his mind, and they cause these great rolling jolts of pain, vomiting, and with terrible diarrhea for over an hour.
He's totally drained. And critically, while he's lying there in the dark, in pain, the memory of the secret comes flooding back again.
The external pain brings the internal pain right back to the surface. It's a vicious cycle.
And that cycle sets the stage for the next monumental step, the fire breakthrough. And it starts with a pretty brutal initiation.
It does. In the middle of the night, he's woken up by this strange sound and a terrifying smell.
Oh.
Musty rot. A slithering, brushing sound.
He thinks it's a bear, so he kicks out and just throws the hatchet with everything he has.
It misses whatever it was, slams into the rock wall, and for just a second, there's this shower of brilliant, hot sparks.
The attacker wasn't a bear, it was a porcupine. And he's left with 8 quills driven deep into his leg.
The pain is intense, but the physical suffering leads to this huge psychological shift. As he's pulling the quills out, crying in the dark, feeling sorry for himself.
He has the realization.
He realizes that self-pity didn't work. Nothing changed. His legs still hurt. It was still dark. He was still alone.
That's the moment of transformation, isn't it? The pain forces him to accept his reality, and that acceptance forces him to act.
Exactly. And the next morning, he has a dream that kind of crystallizes the clue from the night before.
His father and his friend Terry are in the dream, trying to tell him something without sound. His father's just pointing, waving his hands.
Then Terry appears next to a barbecue pit, and he's pointing at the charcoal, at the flames, and he shakes his head at a bag of food. Like, no, not the food, look at the fire.
Brian is so frustrated in the dream, he's thinking, all right, I see the fire, but so what? I don't have a fire.
But the seed is planted. He wakes up, sees the hatchet catch the morning sun, and it flashes brilliant gold, like fire.
The connection is instant. The hatchet hitting the stone wall, the sparks. That was the key.
They weren't giving him food in the dream. They were giving him the method to make fire.
So now begins the scientific process. Trial and error. He has the tool, but the sparks die so fast.
He tries dried grass, twigs, even the $20 bill. Nothing. He realizes he needs something soft and fine and fluffy.
He needs a home for the spark, a perfect home. He sees the birch trees with their white bark peeling like paper.
And he realizes he has to shred it into hairs so fine they were almost not there. He creates this soft, grapefruit-sized spark nest. And that painstaking work, it takes over 2 hours. It focuses his mind completely.
He gets the sparks hitting the nest, it glows, and then dies. He learns it's not about the number of sparks.
It's about oxygen. He needs air.
He tries again, gets a shower of sparks, leans forward, and blows gently, too hard at first, blows the ember out. It's a lesson in patience.
But the second time, he aims his breath just right, and this red glow grows into glowing red worms that catch the fibers around them until a coal the size of a quarter bursts into flame.
Fire! He yells it, laughing and crying with exhaustion and pure triumph.
And it is instantly transformative. The fire gives him warmth, cheer, psychological comfort. It banishes the darkness.
The smoke keeps the mosquitoes away, and his shelter acts like a natural flue. The fire becomes his friend and a guard.
He vows never to let it go out.
Mm.
This is the real baptism of the new Brian. He cannot just react to things anymore. He can create safety.
This is the first major invention of the new Brian. So from this point, his whole existence shifts from just reacting to disasters to actively adapting, refining his systems, and building a sustainable life.
Right. So now we're moving into that long period, almost 2 months, where we see his progress and these permanent changes start to take hold.
And the first big food success after the fire comes when he finds these strange tracks leading up from the lake.
Yeah, he sees this main center line with claw marks to the side, a drag mark. He digs where the tracks stop, and about 4 inches down, he finds a chamber of eggs.
17 of them, almost perfectly round, leathery shells. It was a snapping turtle come up in the night to lay her clutch.
Food. And his stomach is just roaring. He had never eaten a raw egg before. He thought it was disgusting.
But survival instinct overrides all that city boy squeamishness. He pokes a hole in one and just sucks it down.
And the taste is greasy, almost oily, but it's fuel. It's sustaining.
And what's critical is that he forces himself to stop. He hides the rest to eat only one a day. That's the new Brian. That's resource management.
It is. And soon after, he finds sweeter food, raspberries.
Yeah.
And while he's picking them, he has one of the most important moments of his self-education. He meets the bear.
He hears a noise, turns around, and there's this huge black bear with a cinnamon-colored nose less than 20 feet away.
He is frozen in absolute terror. His tongue is stuck to the roof of his mouth.
The bear stands up, looks at him for a long moment, then gets back down and just starts delicately eating berries. And then it just wanders off.
And Brian's legs want to run, but his brain intercepts the panic, and he has this pivotal realization.
The bear was eating berries, not people.
Exactly.
Yeah.
The bear didn't want to hurt him. It was just another part of the woods, doing its own thing, trying to survive. And that's the moment he stops fighting the wilderness and really starts to understand it.
He's making real progress now. His body is leaning out. He's feeling capable. But nature has a way of testing the new Brian before it's done with him.
And that test is the search plane, the moment when hope almost breaks him.
He's cutting wood for a bow, and he hears it, the whine of a plane getting louder and louder.
He just drops everything and runs to the bluff where he has his signal fire wood stacked. He scrambles up, desperately blowing on a smoldering stick until he has this massive smoky bonfire going.
He's screaming at the sky. He's imagining the whole scene, the planes circling, the pilot waving, coming to take him home.
But the sound just keeps moving. It fades from a roar to a whine, and then total silence. It was a search plane, but he was too far off course, or the pilot just didn't look down at that exact second.
And it guts him completely. He falls into this gray funk, the deepest despair yet.
He goes up on the ridge, and in what the book calls a hissing madness, he tries to cut himself with the hatchet. He wants it all to stop.
But he can't do it. The self-preservation instinct is just too strong, even in that despair.
He wakes up the next morning, sees the blood on his arm, and just hates the weakness of the old Brian. And that experience, that abandonment of hope for rescue, forces the final irreversible transformation.
2 true things come into his mind.
1, he was changed forever. And 2, he would not die. He would not let death in again.
This is the birth of what you call tough hope. Hope that isn't about rescue, but about self-reliance. He marks the day. He's the new Brian now, born 42 days after the crash.
And that mental strength manifests physically. His senses change. He doesn't just hear a sound. He knows what it is, and he moves to face it without even thinking.
He truly sees things now. The whole wing of a bird, not just a blur, the direction of the wind on the water. His mind and body are finally connected.
With this new awareness, he turns back to the problem of getting proper food. The fish spear didn't work, so he decides to build a bow and arrow.
His first attempt is a disaster. He uses stiff willow, a shoelace for a string, and when he pulls it back, it just explodes in his hands.
Sends splinters into his forehead, almost blinds him. A huge mistake that could have ended everything. He learns instantly. The wood was too brittle.
He makes a new, gentler bow, but still can't hit the fish. He's so frustrated he thinks the arrows are just passing right through them.
Then, standing in the water, he sticks an arrow down and sees the light bend. And this is where his city science knowledge finally connects with a wilderness problem.
Refraction. The bending of light as it passes from air to water.
Right. It makes the fish look like it's in a different place than it actually is, higher and closer. So his arrows were sailing right over their backs.
The correction is so simple, but so profound. Aim beneath the target. He has to override what his eyes are telling him.
And he nails one, a golden-sided fish. He holds it up and he's just filled with this pride that is totally earned. He had done food.
That's tough hope realized right there. Hope anchored in his own ability.
And his first real meat, beyond fish, is from the fool birds. Ruffed grouse. He'd been so frustrated by them because they'd explode into flight and he can never get one.
But the new Brian figures it out. He stops looking for color and feathers and starts looking for their shape. A flying pair just sitting frozen in the brush.
And once he trains his eyes to see the shape, he sees them everywhere. He kills his first one with his spear, skins it, and roasts it over the fire.
And the taste. The book says never in all the hamburgers. Anything as fine as that first bite, first meat.
It's more than just protein. It's a symbol of his mastery.
But even with all these successes, mistakes still lead to big lessons, like when he tries to store his turtle eggs.
Ugh, the skunk. He wakes up to this sulfurous, rotten odor. A skunk is digging up his buried eggs.
He throws sand at it, and the skunk sprays him. A direct hit to the face. The spray blinds him for almost 2 hours.
And while he's thrashing around in the lake trying to clear his eyes, the skunk calmly eats every single one of his remaining eggs.
The lesson is immediate and painful. Food must be protected. Nothing in nature was lazy.
So he spends 3 days making his shelter completely secure. A tightly woven wall, a real door. And to protect his food, he builds a ladder to a high rock ledge, his food shelf.
And his innovation doesn't stop there. He can't store dead fish, so he decides to store them live.
He builds a fish pen in the lake. 2 rock arms extending into the water with a woven willow gate. He can keep 30 or 40 small fish in there.
The new Brian has created a system of true sustainability.
He is resourceful, he is tough, he is thriving, but the journey is not over. The last major test of the wilderness come as the twin insanities.
Exactly. Day 47. He's retrieving a full bird he just shot near the lake, and he's completely blindsided by a cow moose.
And her behavior is described as insane. She just charges him for no reason, drives him down into the mud with her forehead and hooves.
It's a devastating attack. Severe rib pain, a wrenched shoulder. His instinct is to play dead.
And every tiny move he makes, the hair on her back stands up and he has to freeze again. He has to crawl away just a half foot at a time. The randomness of it is the lesson.
Yeah, the wilderness isn't always rational. Sometimes it's just madness.
And as if that's not enough, that same night while he's recovering, he hears a new sound. A low roar, like the sound of a train.
A tornado. He barely has time to react before it hits.
And the destruction is total. The wind throws him against the shelter wall. Hot coals from the fire burn his neck and pants.
The whole camp, the wall, his bed, his tools, the fire is just torn out and thrown into the lake. He's back in the pitch dark, shivering and injured.
Everything is gone except the hatchet, still on his belt. But his reaction this time is completely different. He's hurt, but he's not defeated.
He doesn't go into a grave funk.
No. The new Brian comes out of it with this defiant spirit. He thinks, I might be hit, but I'm not done. I'm tough where it counts. Tough in the head. He vows to rebuild immediately.
That moment is the ultimate proof that the emotional transformation is complete.
But the tornado, it inadvertently provides the final opportunity for rescue. When he wakes up, he sees something yellow sticking out of the water.
The tail of the plane. The storm lifted it and moved it, and he immediately thinks of the survival pack.
But that thought is tempered with this wave of sadness and horror. The pilot's body is still in there. He offers this silent prayer. Have rest forever.
He knows he needs a raft. He rebuilds, but smarter this time. He doesn't use smooth logs. He uses treetops with limbs still on them to create friction. Brush pile 1.
It takes him 2 hours of kicking and pushing to get the raft to the tail. And he finds the aluminum skin of the plane is shockingly easy to cut with the hatchet. Like soft cheese.
And in that frenzy, he makes his last big mistake. He drops the hatchet, bumps his foot, and just sinks into the murky water.
He just screams with rage at his own carelessness. Without the hatchet, he is nothing. No fire, no tools.
But instead of despair, he focuses on retrieval. He has to dive for it. He fills his lungs, goes down deep, ears popping from the pressure.
He runs his face into the bottom mud, and just as he's out of air, he sees the rubber handle sticking out of the silt.
He grabs it, rockets back to the surface, and that dive, overcoming that fear, is a testament to the new Brian's resolve.
With the hatchet back, he finishes the hole, wiggles inside, and finds the survival bag, a canvas or nylon bag. He pulls it free.
And then comes the final trauma. Looking up, in the pale green water light, he sees the not quite cleaned skull of the pilot just wobbling in the current.
The horror is unimaginable. He instantly realizes the fish he's been eating have been consuming the body.
He's violently sick in the water, but that instinctive, powerful kick of the new Brian takes over and shoots him back to the surface, choking, fighting to clear the image from his head.
He gets the bag to shore, exhausted and chilled. But he has it, the treasure trove.
He inventories the riches. A sleeping bag, a cook set, waterproof matches, butane lighters, a huge sheath knife with a compass.
A complete fishing kit. So it's like the entire history of human survival technology just dropped in his lap.
And then the bigger items. A disassembled .22 survival rifle with 50 shells. He puts it together, but holding it feels weird.
Yeah, it somehow removed him from everything around him. With the rifle, he didn't have to know, did not have to be afraid or understand.
It's an interesting point, right? The hatchet required ingenuity and skill. The rifle just requires a pull of the trigger. He feels like it diminishes all the knowledge he's gained.
But then the food, freeze-dried meals, beef dinner, chicken dinner.
Yeah.
He decides before he's careful and rational, he is going to have a feast.
He mixes up the beef dinner, a peach dessert, and most importantly, the orange drink.
And as he drinks that sweet orange mix, he's not thinking of the wilderness. He's thinking of home, his mother in the kitchen. He's completely immersed in this image of normalcy he hasn't felt in almost 2 months.
And at that precise instant, the plane appears. Just a tiny drone, and then a bush plane with flutes roars low over his head.
It lands, the pilot hops out, and he is completely stunned.
The pilot was a fur buyer, mapping trapping camps, and he was drawn by the emergency transmitter.
The one thing Brian had just switched on and set aside, assuming it was broken.
It's the ultimate irony. All his self-reliance, his tough hope, was overshadowed by a piece of tech he didn't even trust.
The pilot stares at this kid, dirty and ragged, burned and lean and tough, and recognizes him. You're that kid. They quit looking almost 2 months ago.
And Brian's final, calm, definitive line confirming the new man. My name's Brian Robeson. Would you like something to eat?
When they rescued him, he'd been alone for 54 days, lost 17% of his body weight. But the physical change was minimal compared to the mental legacy.
He gained this incredible ability to observe. He became more thoughtful, learning to think slowly about something before speaking.
And food never lost its wonder for him. He'd find himself just staring at grocery store aisles, marveling at the sheer quantity of it all.
Post-rescue research confirmed everything. The gut cherries were choke cherries, the fool birds were ruffed grouse, the fish were bluegills and perch. He gained a scientific mastery over his experience.
The family situation, though, that didn't match the grand scale of his personal triumph. His parents almost reconciled, but then things rapidly went back to normal.
His father went back to the oil fields. His mother kept seeing the man in the station wagon.
And Brian, the boy who survived a plane crash, a moose attack, a tornado, he never told his father the secret. The wilderness taught him how to survive the external world, but it gave him no tools to fix his broken home.
That distinction is really the core of the story, isn't it? The new Brian was born out of necessity. He fixed his environment, but he couldn't fix his family.
And that leads to that final, haunting insight. The question Brian asked himself right before he was rescued, he wondered, if he did get home, would he find himself sitting there, suddenly thinking of the beauty of the lake, the taste of the fish, the glow of the fire, and wondering how the color looked in the wilderness?
The wilderness demanded absolute presence, absolute engagement. It forced him to let go of hope for rescue. Survival required him to rely entirely on his own knowledge and his own mistakes, creating that tough hope.
And that's the legacy of Brian Robeson. That true life begins when you stop waiting for a savior and become your own.
A profound thought. Thank you for joining us for this deep dive into survival and transformation.
We'll catch you next time for another look beneath the surface.